ScreenCrush Break Room, I'm Ryan Arey, and this is all of the Easter eggs, references, and little things that you might have missed in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier's final episode. By the way, today is a special day. That's right, today's my birthday, and this episode was a sweet birthday gift. Thanks, Kevin. The episode begins with the GRC under siege, and Sharon Carter shows up wearing an electronic face mask. We first saw this used by Black Widow and Winter Soldier, but they became a major story device on the show Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. The title of the episode is One World, One People, which of course is the motto of the Flag Smashers.
For we are, after all, simply one world and one people.
All season long, we've been watching the show and thinking, well, their goal seems noble, a world without borders. But as Sam points out, that's not their goal, it's their means.
What if I'm making the world a better place?
It's not a better place if you're killing people, it's just different.
And the episode ends with Sam accomplishing Karli's goal through mediation.
Look, you people have just as much power as an insane god or a misguided teenager. The question you have to ask yourself is, how are you going to use it?
So now let's talk about that suit because it is awesome. I love how it combines aspects of several of the other Cap suits. The combat fatigues pants from the World War II suit. The bright stripes harken back to a suit in the Avengers. And the stars and stripes in the center are modeled after his Winter Soldier suit. And actually that suit was very similar to the one that Steve wore in the comics while Sam was Captain America. This is also fitting because the first villain we saw Steve fight in that suit was Batroc the Leaper, the first villain that Sam fights as the new Cap. And Sam's whole costume is modeled very closely after his suit from the comics, and it's great. And also, Sam's new wings deflect a whole frickin' helicopter, which tells me that like T'Challa, Shuri must have made him a suit of vibranium. This line,
I thought Captain America was on the moon,
is a callback to episode 1.
Some people, they think that he's in the secret base on the moon.
Bucky says,
You don't think I ever fought for something bigger than myself? That's all I ever tried to do, and I failed twice.
He's referencing World War II and the Infinity War. I never really thought about that. He's 0-2 on world saving. Walker shows up with this adorable little super special shield that he made all by himself. Now notice that he welded his medals of honor to the back of the shield so he could always look at them. You could see this as a reminder of the country that turned its back on him because he's so full of hate. But I think it's actually his way of reminding himself of why he is doing this. Remember why he got the medal to begin with.
3 badges of excellence to make sure I never forget the worst day of my life.
And the reason he took the serum.
God, imagine how many lives we could have saved that day if we had that serum.
Now, I'd have to go back and check the records, but I think this is the first time that Bucky gets to help people instead of just hurting them. He's following Sam's advice.
But you got to make them feel better. You got to go to them and be of service.
Now, at some moments when Walker seems like he's on the edge of a breakdown, there's an eerie drone in the score, which sounds like the beginning of the Winter Soldier theme. Like Walker is on a dark path that leads into becoming a pure killing machine. Walker running into the battle in a rage is pretty much his origin story in the comics. As the hero Patriot, he was a media celebrity, just like his early days as Cap. Then, after becoming Cap, his parents were murdered, sending him off on a murder spree, which causes the government to take away his shield. He says,
You don't think Lamar's life mattered?
A nod to the Black Lives Matter movement. In the comics, Walker is not a full-on villain. He's more of an anti-hero, and he's kind of settled into that role here. He has to choose between saving people and revenge, and he chooses to help. When this happens, his theme, earlier presented in a minor key, is switched to a major key, symbolizing him embracing the new hero role. This line is a callback to episode 2.
Hey, it's Black Falcon!
This is also what Sam is facing in his new role as Captain America. Like many other people of color, society sees his race first and not the man. His struggle is to now be accepted as Captain America, not simply the black Captain America. Then we get the reveal that Sharon is the power broker,
Which I admit is both bogus and sad.
because it was obvious. It's the twist that everybody guessed that should have been to throw us off the trail of robot body Arnim Zola. Actually, Doug had a thought on that twist. Doug?
Well, Sharon never says that she is the power broker. I think the real power broker is Lucky the pizza dog from the Hawkeye show. I want to see the pizza dog.
But Whatever, big twist. Let me know what you thought down in the comments or at me on Twitter. You know, interacting with all of you on social media is one of my favorite parts of this job. People are always sending me their own fan theories and telling me they'd like to start making their own video essays.
Teach me.
So if you would like to take your first step into this larger world, I recommend Wondershare Filmora 10, the sponsor of this week's video. Filmora is great for experienced and beginner editors. To make your video look professional, they offer tons of royalty-free music, overlays, transitions, animated stickers, and more. Here's how easy it is to use. I took some footage of our assistant manager, Doug, and right here he yawns. So I thought, I want to make it seem like he's yawning into some kind of film noir fantasy. So I browsed through the free effects, try out a couple of different transitions, and there we go. It's that easy. Even if you have zero editing skills, you can use this professional software. Everything is visual and user-friendly. The software is free to try out, and if you like it, they offer additional content like silence detection add-on. This is great for helping me cut the pauses out of my videos. And we're having a contest that will let you win 1 free year of Filmora. All you have to do is comment what you think of the software with hashtag #CreateWithFilmora, or post your own Filmora videos on Twitter, @MeRyanArey, and hashtag #CreateWithFilmora. Then the Filmora team will pick a lucky winner from each to award a 1-year free license. Now I love how Sam is immediately able to integrate the shield with his fighting style to compensate for his lack of powers, like using his wings as a brace. And hey, all those montage flips paid off. Bucky and Walker are able to intercept the Flag Smashers by using the app on the phone that Karli gave Bucky to begin with, so she could monologue at him.
Not a great plan.
Social media is toxic, y'all. Read a book. During Sam and Karli's final battle, at one point, both the shield and a gun are dropped. Now, Karli has a moment where she could choose which one to grab, and she chooses the gun. This is actually her whole character in one scene. She's an inspirational character with noble goals. In another life, she could have been Captain America.
I didn't think there could be another Captain America until I met you.
But instead, she chose violence. Now, it's hard to see, but when she dies, she's holding a hamsa with the world in the middle. This belonged to Mama Danya. And by the way, a guy emailed me and said that her name, Danya Madani, has a hidden meaning. Danya means world in Persian, and Madani means citizen in Arabic, so Danya Madani means global citizen. And the guy who emailed me was named Jack Human, which is definitely the name an alien would call himself if he wanted to email me Falcon and the Winter Soldier Easter eggs from space. So thanks for the tip, Jack Human, but I shan't be giving you access to any nuclear codes. This symbol is actually a hamsa, a symbol that holds religious significance for Christians, Muslims, and Jews. Like the Flag Smashers, it transcends borders and cultural identity and serves as the inspiration for their logo. Now, Sam, in the end, achieves Karli's goal peacefully. During his final monologue, he says, "Thug." And this word is often used in right-wing media to describe black men, especially black athletes. Now, I like that Sam's big coming out as Captain America ends with him mediating, like we first saw him do in Winter Soldier. The show has been building to this all season long.
People are lost. They need a leader who looks like them.
Sam's greatest gift here isn't flight or the shield, it's his empathy. His ultimate point is that you have to let marginalized people in the room where it happens. Now, during his speech, he references Thanos and the events of Infinity War.
And face a force so powerful it could erase half the planet. Few people have just as much power as an insane god.
And he's right. World events like this should unite the world, not divide it. Also, way to fend off the trolls.
Every time I pick this thing up, I know there are millions of people out there who are going to hate me for it.
Political stance is exactly what he does in the comics after becoming Cap. Isaiah is watching on WHIH, the in-universe news channel that was first seen creating social media tie-ins for the movie Ant-Man. Also watching is Joaquin while he's repairing the wings. This is foreshadowing that he'll become the new Falcon, just like in the comics. The remaining super soldiers are killed by Zemo's butler, while he rests comfortably in the raft, the prison for superfolk that we first saw in Civil War. Now we have a whole video coming out about what's next for Zemo. Subscribe and click the bell for that one. It's really good. You're going to love it. Now next we see Val in the Senate Hall. Last night I pointed out that this character in the comics starts off as a femme fatale foil for Fury, but later becomes the villain Madam Hydra. Now here, it seems like she's working for some black ops branch of the government, as symbolized by her card.
There's nothing on it.
My theory is she's working with Thunderbolt Ross to assemble a Black Ops Avengers team made up mostly of villains, similar to the Thunderbolts, the Dark Avengers, and the Secret Warriors. David Gallagher on Twitter pointed out to me that calling her Val seems to be making her an amalgam with Val Cooper, who worked with U.S. Agent, who worked with Walker for years as part of the Commission on Superhuman Affairs. Walker's black suit and lame name,
a U.S. agent,
are straight from the comics. It's an appropriate color choice since he only sees the world in black and white with none of Sam's nuance. Walker's last line,
Back! back
is the same as his return in the comics in Captain America 354. Thanks David Gallagher for that one. When Bucky tells the old man about his son, his coat is Bucky Blue, the same color his character wore in the comics, symbolizing his journey coming full circle as he finally puts the life of the Winter Soldier behind him. And he pulls a Goodwill Hunting, leaving a note for his therapist instead of actually finishing therapy. Kinda crappy, Steve left some really good pop culture in that book for him.
The internet, so helpful.
So let's go through a few of these names, most of which we saw in episode 1. Andrei Rostov in the comics is the Soviet villain the Red Guardian, and he was Bucky's warden when the Russians imprisoned him in a gulag. This is when Bucky was making amends in the comics, just like he's doing now in the MCU. P.W. Hauser was the actor who starred alongside Sebastian Stan in I, Tonya, H. Zemos for Helmut Zemo, and Kuznetsov was a Soviet scientist who invented a robot called Udarnik. There's also S. Whitaker for legendary comics inker Steve Whitaker. C. Collins is a reference to your mom, and the name Hudson here could be a reference to James Hudson, leader of the Canadian super team Alpha Flight.
Even if she is married, it's a Canadian marriage. It's like their money or their army. Nobody takes it seriously.
Back at Isaiah's house, he references,
"You ain't no Malcolm, Martin, Mandela."
The prominent civil rights leaders, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, and Nelson Mandela. When Sam gives his speech, Isaiah's grandson Elijah is hovering in the background, listening. Now in the comics, Elijah becomes the hero Patriot and leads the Young Avengers, something they're clearly leading up to in the MCU. Now when they go through the exhibit, we saw a little more of it than we did in the premiere. This shot is from the newsreel where Steve looks at his Peggy Carter compass. The Shattered A is also new to symbolize the Avengers breaking up.
Broke up? Like a band? Like the Beatles?
This is also very similar to the marketing logo that Marvel used during Endgame. This scene really got to me. Old men crying, I just can't take it. It parallels the ending of Isaiah's story in The Truth, Red, White, and Black, when Steve Rogers finally meets Isaiah and sees that he's been honored secretly in the black community for years. This overhead shot of black soldiers is a vintage photograph from World War II that served as an inspiration for this panel from Truth, Red, White, and Black. The plaque reads that the soldiers were experimented on against their will, and the government covered it up. Now this not only means that Isaiah is in the history books, but he doesn't have to worry about the government keeping him quiet anymore. And of course, the series is rebranded with a new title at the end. The post-credits scene is Sharon being pardoned and going back to work at the CIA so she can sell state secrets. I really hope she's like a Skrull or something, because otherwise this was a very obvious choice, but it is a fun place to take her character. The senator says,
"The Carter name has always been synonymous with service,"
a reference to Peggy Carter's work in the war and as a founder of S.H.I.E.L.D. I do like that now that the world is upside down, good is bad, and Carter is evil. We've also seen Wanda using the Darkhold, possibly hinting at her becoming evil. All of this seems like a setup for the Dark Avengers in the comics when Norman Osborn disguised villains as heroes. Now who do you think Sharon was on the phone with? Is she rebuilding Hydra, or just kind of doing her own thing? My guess is that we'll see her again in the show Armor Wars. These comics were about Tony Stark fighting to make sure his technology didn't fall into the hands of his enemies. Overall, I like the series a lot, but I think it would have benefited from a few more episodes. All the various plot threads could have been explored a little deeper. Walker seems like he snapped immediately and didn't get much build-up, but mostly there was a lot of tell and not show. We don't ever see refugees being marched around by troops, we just hear about it. We don't see people starving, we just hear about it. I get the feeling that the pandemic affected some of this. There's rumors there was a whole storyline about a plague that they cut because it was too similar to what's going on in real life. But overall, it was a terrific series with great action, and if all the Marvel shows are going to be this good, we have a lot to look forward to. Well, that's all the Easter eggs that we found, but if you found any, let me know in the comments below or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, please subscribe. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Arey.